I think you're muted.
Jesus.
There you go.
Hello.
Welcome, everybody, back to the Gaming Podcast Live. We are here every 2 weeks to talk gaming stories, news, and gossip with special guests. Isn't that right, Robin?
That's exactly right, Mia. Well done. Thank you.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yes, we're here every 2 weeks. It's the Game Podcast Live. Everything that Mia just said. It wouldn't be us without some sort of technical mishap at the start. And obviously now I don't need to introduce Mia because she jumped in and did the introduction herself. But always I'm joined by my fabulous co-host Mia, routinely digging me out the shit.
I don't know about that. I'm just barely holding on to things as it is, keeping it together, so to speak. How are you doing though? Are you doing good?
I am really good, actually. Yeah, I had a nice weekend. It's Sunday. We're here again. We've got a fantastic guest. What more could we want?
I've had a super duper long week. I am exhausted, but we're trucking on through, which is the great thing. And of course, we aren't here alone. Just as a reminder, this is a live broadcast. As sort of, it's pretty predictable that it's a live broadcast because we managed to mess it up every single time that we go live somehow. But you can interact with us both here on Twitch at twitch.tv/gamingmag, or over at the Discord, which is gamingmag.com/Discord. You can go and join in all the conversation, all the good stuff. Remember, if you are here right now, don't forget to hit that follow button and join us every 2 weeks as we talk to a new super special guest. This week, we're talking about to the lovely, lovely Glenn Ángel.
Hello.
Oh. Hey, Glenn.
How are we, everybody?
We're good.
Technical hitches aside, we're pretty good. How are you? How are you doing?
I am doing wonderful. It is starting to get like the summertime heat here in the United States, at least on the East Coast. And I already smell someone barbecuing outside, so I feel like in a really good mood.
I wish you could say the same here. It's been nothing but we've had like a little bit of sun, at least where I am in the country. Had a little bit of sun followed by torrential rain every single day. It'll be sunny one moment, then just raining the next. And I just want to get out there and enjoy some of the weather, you know.
Mm-hmm. It's the proper kind of British spring where literally you can't account for anything and you just have to have a coat with you and a brolly and whatever else. But that's boring.
What do we do on the Gaming Magazine podcast? We talk about the weather.
We're British. We complain about the weather. That's just what we do.
We love when the sun comes up and when it comes down here in Gaming Mag.
We always kick off the podcast with our weekly recaps, a little roundup of what we've been up to this week. Now, I have to admit, I've been ridiculously busy, as will become more obvious as we go through this episode with what we've got coming up for our DigiPride season, which starts very shortly. So I've been a bit distracted, I have to admit, but I have managed to squeeze in a little bit of gameplay. And I finished off Rain on Your Parade.
Oh,
yes.
Is that the one that Jeff was playing last 2 weeks ago?
It's the one I was playing 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wait, no, you were playing it 2 weeks ago.
Yes,
good.
And
Tell me more about that then. I couldn't remember. I was wondering why you were bringing it up again.
Delighted you pay attention.
I do. I pay all the attention.
So for people that were on the podcast last 2 weeks ago, sorry, Rain on Your Parade is a fantastic little indie game that is on the Xbox Game Pass, where it's the ultimate kind of goose game, but for a rain cloud. So it's going around and fucking shit up. Let's be honest. It's literally sort of, and that's my kind of game. It's being an utter arsehole. And I think, totally. It's a cute arsehole. Yeah, and there's people in the chat already that recall me talking about it last time, Mia.
But the question is, are there any parades in that game?
Yeah, there's a parade at the end that you have to rain on.
Parade?
Yeah. Wow. There are 50 levels in the game. Level 49.
Oh, wow.
It goes on. Level 49 in the game is a fantastically hilarious one, which is kind of like the story is, and there's no spoilers because literally it is what it is. It's a very simple game, but you save the city This is the clever thing. It starts off as kind of like you're just going around just making mischief, but then you have to go on secret missions to liberate people, and you get to pick up you get to sort of suck up oil to set fire to things, or you suck up radioactive stuff to erode things. So it actually becomes quite tactical.
Are you saying there's a hidden plot in this fun little game?
Are you
about
telling
Cloud?
me that this Cloud has a character progression?
Yeah, character progression. Yeah, gets a boyfriend. No, I'm joking. I made that up.
This Metal Gear Cloud? You're just walking around trying to let.
There is a stealth level. There is a stealth. There's a
not
stealth
a
level.
stealth level.
You have to creep in and not alert the guards. Like there must have just been playing
Hold
Metal
on.
Gear Solid.
Is there actually a Metal Gear Solid?
I promise.
Wow.
It's not.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean they have to be careful with copyright, but it is a kind of like you know what they're up to, because when the guard's been alerted, they get the exclamation point over their head. Yeah. So anyway, but level 49 is a big hooray. We've saved the city, and yes, you have to rain on the parade. And then the humor of the game is hilarious, because in level 50, it comes up with the narrative bubble at the start where. Basically it's Big Cloud talks to Little Cloud, and the Big Cloud is like, let me tell you a story about contractual obligation. The bosses told us to do 50 levels. We only managed 49, but they made us do the 50th level because it was in our contracts. So we just put this wireframe together and dumped a load of assets in it, and this is your 50th level. It literally is just a wireframe box with a load of random houses and hills and stuff, and you just have to go and rain on stuff, and eventually it says game over.
So a major break in the fourth wall between the player and the developers.
Huge. Yeah, fantastic.
I love it.
Yeah, no, it's amazing sort of sense of humor, and it's done in that kind of like very DIY kind of style. So the Cloud is like a corrugated, looks like corrugated cardboard on pieces of string, and you just move it around and stuff. Which brings me on to the second game that I've been playing. I've actually been playing a bit more of Yoshi's Crafted World, which is still utterly cute and unbearably adorable. And again, my kind of game that you just run around and there's no consequences. And
I imagine there's not a lot to it, though. Is there any story to that game? Because like,
is there also a character progression?
It's Metal Gear Solid. Yoshi has to sneak in behind enemy lines and not alert the guards. No, it's not at all. It's a really simple kind of Nintendo story where I think it's either a crown or a sun. I think it's a sun crown gets split up and gets scattered across this kingdom, and you have to go and find all the pieces. Done. But it's more for the kind of the completionist and the type of person that likes to sort of replay levels and get all the collectibles and that sort of thing. And
is that the one where you end the level and you have to do the level again but backwards?
Yes,
like the camera spins around.
Yeah, I was literally about to say so it's because it's all done as crafted. You're looking at it in 2D with all the cardboard and stuff. And then you're absolutely right that you can. I don't think it's every level, but some levels you can play it backwards. But the camera literally goes behind and looks at it the other way. So you're seeing you see the back of all the cardboard stuff where the tape's being held together and that sort of thing. It's super clever. It's
is
really
it like how they did that? I forgot which one it was, but like it was like Paper Mario, but the third installation, I think it was for the Wii. This is someone
I think that kind of like goes into the
similar
third
kind
dimension.
of thing.
This just like flips the camera all the way around, so you're just looking at it from the opposite point of view.
If you've kind of built like a 2D set, the camera's looking at it. It would literally just go around the back of the set. And
that's so cool.
You see like little shy guys holding things up, and things like that. It's very cute.
Like the nuts and bolts are.
Yeah. Or tape and glue or whatever else in the case of this. So that's been my thing. Have I watched anything geeky? The Nevers. Oh, I've been watching The Nevers.
What is The Nevers?
What is that?
It's I don't know if it's out in the States yet, but it's on our Sky it's on our Sky channels, and it's a Victorian sci-fi set in London with superpowers. Not really superheroes, but superpowers, and then it kind of in Victorian London. I can't say too much more about it, but it doesn't stay in Victorian London. There are bits where it's on a spaceship.
Oh, okay.
That was a little bit out of left field.
That was
And this is live action animated.
No.
It sounds like the plot to an anime.
Yeah. No, it's live action. It's done really, really well. No one in it that stands out in terms of stars, but they're all really good actors. I think it was done approaching the pandemic because it's only got 6 episodes have been released, and they're kind of doing it in like chapter 1 and chapter 2. So we'll have to see how that progresses. But yeah, that's my weekly recaps. Mia, what have you been up to?
Oh, all sorts. But mostly like finishing Resident Evil Village, though. That game is so much fun. I will tell you. I don't know if you did any of you all play Resident Evil 4? No? Oh my goodness. Did you all play Resident Evil 7?
When I tell you, I've been so scared to play any Resident Evil game. Like, I think I played, maybe it was 3. It was the one where it was very angry Spanish speaking, and it sounded very fake.
That's 4. That's 4. Yeah.
So I think I tried to do like the first, like, I played for an hour and then I got too scared. I was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to fit all these weapons on my back. I'm scared. I'm done.
I will say 4 is fantastic and one of my favorite games pretty much of all time. And I feel like it's one of the best in the series, depending on what you're going in for, like an action experience. And it's kind of weird as well because that's pretty much what Village is. Village is almost exactly like 4. It's kind of scary in the beginning, but as it progresses, you unlock more and more weapons, and it slowly turns into basically an action shooter game. Crazy amount of level of detail in there. Just the combat is great. The environments are fantastic. Lady Dimitrescu, Lady D, big mummy vampire. Ooh. She good.
It's been set in the streaming world alight, hasn't it?
Yes.
Like, I think a lot of your compatriots, Glenn, on the Rainbow Arcade have been streaming
they have,
Resi Evil. And a lot of the sort of drag streamers have been doing it as well for the jump scares. I know that Deer and Bitch Pudding have been doing it.
I would like to try just I don't know how my neighbors and my family can deal with the decibels that would release from me.
Oh yeah, this game does seem like, because they're supposed to be doing a remake of Resident Evil 4, and it kind of feels a bit weird because like this seems like a love letter to that game, like to the point where it seems like they're working on this just so they can take the assets from Resident Evil Village and just put them straight into a HD remake of Resident Evil 4. It's actually like crazy the amount of similarities there are between the two games. But I finished it. It's actually fantastic, well worth playing. The story is goofy and crazy and very Resident Evil. And yeah, if you get the chance, like it starts a little bit scary, but as soon as you realize that if you die, you can just do it again anyway, and it gets easier. You'll have an easy time with it. I am actually going to play it through again because when you finish the game, usually you unlock like unlimited ammo, handguns and weapons and stuff like that. So I want to go through and do all of that, but I've been looking at the mod scene as well, and just the hilarious things.
I was about to say.
I
was about to ask about that because there's been a few collected on Gaming Magazine. Actually, I'm going to drop one into the chat at the moment.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. There's horrifying ones, like you can replace Lady D's face with Thomas the Tank Engine.
Stop.
Which,
God, I've seen that one.
Or if you shoot her, every time that you hurt her, her hat gets progressively bigger. Yeah,
the one I just dropped. Like, the link I just dropped into the chat actually is the same thing. What you just said about every time you
bigger hat.
Every time you hit her, the hat gets bigger.
I do have a question. I've seen this video where someone was slapping Lady D's, behind with I think it was this fly swatter. Is that sound actually in the game, or was that a mod?
That's gonna be a mod. Yeah, that is probably replacing the knife with a fly swatter. But yeah. I'd say if you want some fun times with Lady D, I'd probably go for the mods. My favorite that I've seen so far is that Chris Redfield is one of the main characters in the series. In the game, he plays a kind of a different role. He's not the main character in this, but there's also a baby in the game, and one of the mods swaps the baby's head with Chris Redfield, so you have this baby with a man's face on it and a guy walking around with a massive baby head on his head instead.
Is it the baby that can swallow you?
It's not the baby that can swallow you. That comes
Okay.
later in the game. That's actually horrifying. That's one of the scariest parts of the game. Actually, you wouldn't like that. No. But yeah, absolutely fantastic game. Well worth playing. Congratulations to Capcom, because that seems to have gone pretty well.
There are some thirstier mods as well, aren't there?
Oh yes,
with a few of the Chris Redfield. Let's say he's stripped off and very alert. Can I say that? If we all know what I mean without getting too graphically amazing.
We get to,
I imagine.
We're revealed to the true Chris.
Yeah,
I mean,
but he's very alert.
He's a military man. He's standing to
he
attention.
Comes into the room like about exactly. He comes into the room like 10 seconds before the rest of him comes into the room.
God.
Mm-hmm. So, other things I've been playing. I've also been playing Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which is it's Mass Effect. I don't know what to say. Like I've only played through the first game so far. I let chat make my decisions for me.
Yeah, how is it?
It seems a little bit tighter and better. It's a lot better looking than the original was, but I don't know if it's just like rose tinted like goggles, but I can't notice that much difference, at least in the first game, in terms of the combat. I think it's a little bit less janky than the original was, which is nice.
I was going to ask, is it a graphical improvement, or is it like
Definitely.
an engine improvement as well?
It just seems to be like a graphical improvement, more so than anything. And I think they've tweaked and like cleaned up some stuff here and there just to make things easier. They've changed the level up system too, because it used to be based on like a 60-point system, and now it's like a 30-point system instead, just to like cut down on all the chaff. But I really hope they would like streamline some of the inventory management and like the UI decisions that they made in the first game, because they're god awful, and unfortunately they're still god awful in terms of like 1/3 of the screen being taken up by a PNG of this thing that you're buying in the store. And it's like, listen, I don't care about that. I just want to be able to buy my things, see who they apply to in the party, and be able to pick them up easily and compare them easily. But it's just there's so much obfuscation in the first game. It gets a lot better in the subsequent games, but the first game is just like the worst experience when it comes to all of just bogging that down with like RPG stuff.
And how old is the first game?
Oh, I think it's like 2008 or 7 or something like that. Yeah,
it's a fair whack. It's old.
It's at least probably like 12, 13 years old now.
And I think that's my sort of thing about like HD remasters and stuff. I remember playing a couple of HD remasters. Didn't they remaster 2007? Thank you, chat. Didn't somebody say didn't somebody release a remaster or an upgrade of, I think it was Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and a couple of other games that's come out as well that are sort of like remasters, but they're only really looks and graphical remaster. But if the problem with a lot of old games is the engine's crap and the combat system's crap and the sort of stuff we get used to nowadays, sort of like relatively conventional kind of ways to fire a gun, or relatively conventional ways to pick stuff up. It just, and there's no what's the point in remastering something to make it look pretty if it's still functionally awful?
Well, I guess accessibility is more so the argument there, just to make sure that people have access to a video game. But it just seems like a half step and an easy way to make money. Apparently, it's done incredibly well, like the Legendary Edition, and like I didn't necessarily buy it for the first one. I bought it for like the entire experience, because the second and third games tighten everything up because they came out afterwards. Obviously, I was really hoping that they'd go back and add the combat from the second and third to the first one, but that'd probably be like a massive undertaking in terms of like the level design probably isn't even designed for that kind of combat too. So I don't know. It's exactly what I thought it was going to be. It's nice, like just jumping back into a game like that. It's weird though, like seeing this game in a 2021 point of view, essentially, where I saw articles from like Polygon talking about, abolishing the space police, because you're essentially playing as like a 007 kind of character going around the universe with unchecked power, doing whatever you want. And if you go the renegade route, it turns very like fascisty very, very quickly. I mean, it's it's a power fantasy. It's fun. But it's like super, super weird, like going back and just seeing how things have changed and attitudes have changed towards things as well. But it's definitely worth like I get definitely worth taking a look. I don't know if anybody who plays games today will enjoy at least the first one that much. Like it just seems like it's not. I talk about accessibility. It just doesn't seem like it's that accessible. Funnily enough,
I'm going to put you on the spot. So if somebody, I can understand if somebody was a fan of Mass Effect or played Mass Effect, that they would want to go and jump back into it for nostalgia. But if somebody hadn't played any Mass Effect games, would you recommend this to them as a game to play?
Second and third, yes. First one, no, just because it's janky. The second one, you can go back and make the decisions from the first game anyway as you're building your character, so it doesn't really matter.
Oh, okay.
But in terms of the story, I think the story is really good. Again, there's a whole thing about the ending, which I won't get into here. But yeah, I'd say it's worth playing for the price for the second and third game, and it just looks really nice. It's better than going back and having to like mod the originals on PC or just those games don't look as graphically nice now on these newer systems. So if you want everything in one place and you just want a good experience with at least two of the games, yeah. And if you like more of the minutiae of jumping in and like changing all the little stats and things, if that's your thing, then maybe the first one will do it for you. But the combat is a little bit wanting. So
excellent. Well, that is perfect actual consumer advice from the Gayming Podcast. What an incredibly what an incredibly rare thing for us.
Yeah, it's not very often I get that deep into something, but yeah.
It makes me want to look more into the game, because all I know really about Mass Effect is seeing people streaming and getting their vehicles toppled over and trying their hardest to get it back up.
The Mako. I gotta love the Mako. Yeah. I always everybody hates those vehicle sections. I actually quite enjoyed the vehicle sections. You just gotta get your head around it in the original. Of course, I'm doing an insanity run because that's what my community decided that I would do, and I'm being a renegade because that's what my community decided I would do. They're making all my decisions for me, and it is not going well. But it's fun. It's fun. Other things I've been doing, I watched a couple movies. The Demon Slayer movie, fantastic. Don't go into it unless you've watched the series, because it just picks up at the end of the series and continues the story on. I know apparently you're watching it soon, right?
Oh, God. Yes. So I am being taken to the. No, I am doing my boyfriendly duty and accompanying my boyfriend to the cinema to see his favorite ever anime on the big screen on Thursday. I don't watch anime. I don't particularly enjoy anime. So yeah, this is me being my incredibly boyfriendly, sort of doing my duty. And then, by the way, I then asked him, "Would you then come and see the Bond film with me in October?" And he was like, "No." I was like, "Oh, okay, fuck you then." Anyway, so yes, we are now having to crash course me in this season, and I'm sort of trying to master the art of looking like I'm watching it, but kind of thinking about everything but, and trying to sort of just gloss past it. But
I find it funny how you're essentially studying to go to the movie theaters.
Yeah, I know. This is a level of dedication. Let nobody say that our 6, 7, oh God, I've forgotten how long we've been going out. However long our relationship's been going out for, that I'm sort of that not dedicated to my boyfriend, that I'm actually studying and reading up to go to see a film of a thing that I don't particularly enjoy. But there you go. That's my.
Let me just say, it was the highest grossing movie in Japan I think of all time. Now.
Oh wow!
So,
wow.
If anything, you might not know what's going on, but if you've not watched the season properly, but at least you'll have fun with the visuals and
oh, totally. No, absolutely. So, I'm a huge. I can see the artistic merit in anime. It's beautifully done. It's just the weird inner monologue exposition sort of things that really drive me at the wall.
I will say Kimetsu no Yaiba or Demon Slayer is a lot. It's the inner monologues in that are more important, I guess, than other anime I've watched in the past, where if you're watching something like Dragon Ball Z, nothing happens for an entire episode and it's just talking to one another instead of actual fighting. Like everything in Demon Slayer is,
and the camera's important. Like panning and they're just standing there.
And like I say, when that budget kicks in, oh my God, like it looks so good. There are some like moments in there which are a little bit odd, but UFO Table, who's like works on the production, did a fantastic job with that. I just watched Army of the Dead as well. That's a weird film. If you like zombie movies, you probably enjoy it. I guess it's a Zack Snyder film, so it's one of his better Zack films, though. From what I think about Schneider. So
yeah.
I've hated
not
like
a 4
a lot
hour
of his
expansion of his
no
of a movie that was pretty shit
most
anyway, and he's made it even shitter.
This one, at least it's like a fun, like kind of zombie romp, and it does some interesting things and actually raises some very interesting questions by the end if you pay attention to things that are going on. But it's on Netflix. It's recommended. Grab a bucket of popcorn and just sit down and I wouldn't say switch your brain off for a bit. You can probably multitask while you're watching that as well and get everything out of that film because it's not exactly groundbreaking, but it's entertaining at least. So
cool.
Yeah. Hey, Glenn, what have you been up to this week?
Nothing no. So I personally love playing MMOs a lot. I play a lot of Final Fantasy and Elder Scrolls. I actually got back into Guild Wars 2 to give it a try. I have a few of my friends who really, really enjoy that game. And I did too, but my issue is, especially games that aren't Final Fantasy, where you can't just have one character have every single class. I always like start off playing and then around like level 10, 15, 20, I'm like, okay, this class is great, but what about this one? And then I'll do it over. And then what about this one? And what about this one? Then what about this one? And then I actually like burn myself out. And I burn myself out of all these games because of it. But I came back, and I think the class that kind of like spoke to me was the engineer. For me, if I
Guild Wars 2?
Yeah, Guild Wars 2.
Mm-hmm. When I picked up Guild Wars 2 originally, that like I literally jumped into engineers like turrets everywhere. Just like just pop them down.
For me, I think I love when someone says, "Oh, this class is hard. It's hard. I want to try it." Like no matter what, I just want to give it a shot. And I just unlocked kits where I can change. I think you can only use like guns, rifles. Like you're very limited in like your actual weapons, but then you get like all these like different array of like tools and kits and everything. And I was able to get a flamethrower, and I'm just like, yes, burn everything down. So that's been kind of fun. I also went back into a little bit of World of Warcraft. It was actually it wasn't my first MMO, but it was the first one, like subscription wise, I played for a bit. I played during like between Legion and Battle for Azeroth, which kind of sucks because Legion was like such like a highly praised expansion, and then Battle for Azeroth we don't talk about anymore. So in between that like little like section, I had like I was in a guild. It was fun. A lot of them were just like really silly. It was a good time. But then once like people felt like the lack of content, they all left, and then I was alone. And then I haven't really touched it, but I came back. And I'm now a controller player. I used to always play on keyboard and mouse until I was doing some raiding. And I'm so sorry if I'm like rambling everywhere. I have ADHD.
No, that is different. It's fine. No, it's good. Like when it comes to like MMO stuff, it's difficult for me sometimes. Like I've been trying to get back into Final Fantasy XIV, but every time I try, there's just like so much dialogue and stories, like so heavy with that. It's like, all right, I'm gonna sub 30 days. I play it like once or twice, like, and then my sub runs out, and I'm like, do I really want to resub again? Like I'm trying though. I'm trying. Like, but yeah, I just need more. Like I'm currently rocking the summoner. Yeah, summoner class. It's the only one that I'm doing so far because I'm still playing through the main story. But yeah, you'll have to give me some tips for that. Just like, because I know you play a lot of 14.
Summoner's really fun. Actually, we're expecting Summoner to get heavily changed next expansion. Summoner's usually always, to be honest, Summoner usually is always very heavily changed. But there was an interview that a big personality in 14, Mr. Happy, had an interview with Yoshi P, the director and producer, and he literally said that Summoner is hitting like a breaking point because of how the kit works. But I'm excited to see what changes happen. But because of 14, I actually started playing on controller, and controller is so much fun in 14. I used to do some raiding, but then what happened was I would get like a little bit of hand cramps during them because I would be like so tense and nervous during like these really like intense fights, to the point where I was like, I can't risk it, even if it's just like a little like, crampiness. I don't want to get any carpal tunnel, so then I switched to controller. And when I tell you, I sat by a train dummy, and I was just hitting buttons and seeing which one fit where for 3 full hours. And I felt content because after that, I was able to do everything like with muscle memory.
A controller is so good for 14. I literally since the beginning, like I hate keyboard mouse controls. I cannot stand them. I'm like a console player for a very long time before I switched to PC, but for every single game I've literally got to use a controller. So the fact that I could use a controller with 14 and set up all like the shortcuts and things, and it works quite nicely. I get my rotations in there with the putting down dots and all of that, good stuff. And it's just like it's so easy just to get into a rhythm. It's more like I want to say like a rhythm game than anything else when it comes to like playing that kind of MMO. But yeah, like I just love the fact that it's so accessible with the controller, because you can just sit back, relax, rather than having to be hunched over a desk. So much better.
Yeah, and I was actually the opposite. I always played keyboard and mouse on everything. The only time I ever played controller was, so I only played Nintendo consoles growing up because my family didn't have that much money. So I only had the GameCube and the Wii growing up. I didn't have anything beforehand. So I was used to keyboard and mouse. And I thought, I can't play on controller, because I actually tried the DualShock 4 controller, and that felt so weird in my hands. It felt like I have like pretty big hands, so it felt awkward, and then just like the way everything was positioned, it felt like it was actually hurting my hands. So I thought, no, I can't do this. But then I tried my luck with a third-party Switch controller. It worked for a bit, but there was like a lot of like issues connected to my PC that I didn't realize until like after it broke. But that felt comfortable, and now I'm on my my DualSense 5. That's what it's called, the PlayStation 5 controller, and it feels so comfortable.
Is that like worth the amount that it's going for at the moment?
That's a good question. I don't know. I know for me, I needed it because with 14, I actually bought the Xbox Series X controller, and you use your triggers a lot in 14. Those triggers were hurting my hands. Like the middle part of my index fingers like were cramping after just one fight. Like I felt like I was literally just like playing with like actual guns. Like I'm like I don't like this trigger. I don't like this.
I feel you there. Like in terms of that, I have like a custom. I can't remember which one this is. I think this is an Xbox One controller. But like even with this, like after a while, like these triggers just start hurting my hands so much. Maybe the DualSense 5 is it?
Yeah,
is worth investing in. Then
I will say on the DualSense 5 actually that when it's hooked up to the PlayStation 5 the
so you have it, don't you? Yeah, the PS5.
Sorry.
You have a PS5, don't you?
Did I just drop that out there? Yes, I have a PlayStation 5. Do not rob me.
I hear them gathering outside already.
Yeah, we actually had to move it. Slight sidebar. So our lounge has like a bay window, and it's next to the front door. And we had the PS5 sort of like on the TV. Like we had to sort of like, because it's so fucking big, I had to like lean it out the window or something practically. But the like three people in the first few weeks came to the front door, like delivery people, looked in the bay window and clocked it was a PS5 and started asking me questions about it. It's like, right, that's moving. Yeah. So we kind of extended the house the other way and put the PS5 over there.
I was afraid you're going to tell me that people actually try to like get in and take it.
No. We live in a nice area. But it's but no, it's just like even just looking at it through the window and you can see like they're like bloody magpies. It's just like they're looking at it. Was that a PS5? And it's like, yeah, I'm fucking moving that. I was gonna get like a sticker and put like a PlayStation 1. What would it be? I don't know, like a lever arch file or something that's up against it, or a bag over the top of it or something. Anyway, that was it. Triggers.
The triggers. You're talking about the triggers.
I played. So it took a while. You know, they've got that kind of resistance pull thing on them. They're meant to have. If you play Astro's Playroom, which is not a game, it's an advert. But that sort of tells you with its haptics and everything else how it can possibly work. We played Borderlands and turned on the active triggers. My God, I had to turn that off in about 2 minutes because the resistance on the trigger is ridiculous. The idea is if you're firing a bow, it gets tighter and tighter and tighter, and then click, it releases when you fire the arrow. Or if you're firing for Borderlands, obviously for a machine gun, obviously the name of the game is to spray bullets. But you're holding it down, and every single shot that goes off, the trigger is like pushing back at your finger, sort of thing. And it's like as a novelty, fun. But I was getting carpal tunnel practically. I had to sort of turn the thing off and just put it back. But
what if after playing that game for so long, you actually try archery? You just become so much better. Like you're already natural because of the haptics.
Oh, somebody in chat said you can reduce the feedback of the hat. Okay. Well, okay. I might amend it for the next one.
But there would be a
I just
option.
And Stamp sort of said he has to turn it low for me to enjoy. You're absolutely right. I mean, I can only imagine if I played it for like a while, like I'd have like massive muscly fingers, and let's not go down that conversation.
Not even just like muscly like index fingers. That's it.
Yeah. What possible use can that? And so that's kind of so that's my story about PS5 and triggers and stuff.
Wonderful. Is there anything else you've been up to this week, Glenn?
Yes. So on Netflix, the second and final season of Special came out. And my God, I love that show so much. It's a show about the main character is a disabled gay person who has cerebral palsy. And basically, when he goes into his new job, he actually, in his words, is in the disabled closet. So he hides the fact that he has CP and just blames on the fact that his limitations came from a car accident. And it's the entire show the first season revolves around him, like, slowly keeping the secret, but also like getting more and more out there, getting his own place because he used to live with his mother the entire time, meeting men. There's actually, what's really amazing about that show is that it actually accurately depicts, or like it shows a side of gay sex in a more like actual believable sense, instead of like the dramatization we see on TV, even like with regular like heterosexual sex. And it was nice to see that, like, showing the awkwardness of it. And it broke a lot of grounds. And the second season was even better. And I cried at least 7 times. I laughed at least 300 times. I kept count. I was tallying.
Yeah. Well, it's good to be in positive of laughing. But no, it's a super beautiful series, as you say. I've watched the first season. I haven't watched the second season yet. But yeah, I think it's telling a valuable story. It really is, and it's something that's worth celebrating. And I think you're right that the idea about the sort of sex scenes and stuff, but being real life sex scenes where it is awkward and you do stub your toe and you are sort of like have all those sort of challenges, rather than it being kind of this beautifully romanticized sort of a fire and you don't even have a fireplace and that sort of thing,
where everything just like flows and it's like just
and the curtain waves and exactly.
The pedals just show up. There were never pedals to begin with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wait, does that not happen when you're
making out by the fire and you don't have a fireplace?
The spontaneous pedals that are always around when never mind. Anyway, moving on.
Cool. Let's move on to our bite-sized news, because time is marching on and we barely got started.
Oh, wow.
So bite-sized news, what's been in the news recently, obviously the big news of the week is the Twitch tags. It's only been 2 years in the making. But we are getting...
Okay, all right, sorry. Okay. I'm gonna get on a horse here. I'm gonna stand on the... I'm gonna take up some space here. Okay, so as one of I will say, like, I feel like I've been a key campaigner for the trans tag on Twitch for not just the last last 2 years, but since 2018 when Twitch took communities away. Since then, the trans community has been fighting for any scrap of discoverability on the platform, and Twitch finally caved. They finally caved after like almost a year of literally just saying, yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Something's coming. We're not going to do it because we're concerned about, like, harassment of the community, and we don't see identity as content. They finally done it. They finally announced that they're adding 350 brand new tags to the platform, including the transgender tag, which the whole transgender community has been vocal about for so long now, it being like the highest rated feature on user voice since at least this time last year, something like that. And they actually talked about it in last October. There's the transgender tag. I know there's going to be a disabled tag, a black tag. I'm not sure which other tags, but there's at least 350 of them, which should all be in place next week. Now, they did say that they're announcing it early, which means that they would have announced this during Pride Month, which doesn't sit Well,
Nope.
I won't get into if that was a going to be a performative action or not. But yeah, I'm just glad it's finally here. It feels like a huge weight off the shoulders of the entire trans streaming community, and I'm just thankful that it's just in place. And I'm just like hoping that like people remember this started with, you know, wonderful streamers like Nicotine and her community. Literally, I think that was the first place that actually stemmed from putting it out there in the beginning, putting the idea out there in the beginning, and just getting the ball rolling. So I'm just extremely thankful to everyone who's been involved in making this a possibility. But it only happened through years of asking for it, and it shouldn't have taken so long, and it shouldn't have taken us literally banging our heads against a brick wall with zero communication and zero transparency from Twitch. But yeah,
and it shouldn't have lasted up until the point of putting it out ready for Pride Month.
Yep,
because that's just awful.
To score bonus points, yeah,
we can be grateful for it, but I think equally, like,
criticism is good.
Totally, and absolutely. I'm put it out get it out the month ago, get it out a week or two ago. Like, don't sort of put it up as this is definitely going to happen in Pride Month, and it's just
again, you could have said it was pandering, but put it out on Trans Day of Remembrance, of visibility, when like when you didn't say anything about the day whatsoever. Do it on that day, you know.
Yes,
it's just I'm glad it's here. But you know, there's still a lot of work to be done for like trans representation on the platform and in the gaming industry in general, but little victories where we
agreed. Agreed.
And so many other tags coming too. So I'm really happy about that.
I'm very excited for that.
There's some stuff about hot tubs and stuff, but we won't talk about that.
Like what I'm happy about is that like earlier this year we had the peer-to-peer launch, which was essentially like what Twitch is now finally getting into, where we were able to go and find all these people based on so many tags and categories. And what's really annoying is seeing, I mean, it's always annoying seeing the comments, the Twitter comments. I can't stand them. A lot of people just talking out of the ass. But the whole segregation is not a thing. We are trying our hardest to make sure that we are known, that people know who we are, that people know that our specific backgrounds have specific experiences, and that nearly all of ours have been, you know, stamped out by the majority.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Like that's just again with those responses being like, oh, you know, where's my white tag? Where's my straight tag? This is going to be like discrimination against me if this is put in place. It's like the whole of Twitch is the
white tag.
Is the cis white tag, you know, the whole cis white straight tag. So
the whole of media,
the straight tag is hot tubs.
The whole of media, we know your story. We know about Billy that like grew up in the suburb, that went to school, didn't do great in his grades, but still somehow went to like a really good college. We all know that story, but you don't know all of our other stories. You don't know about the person that struggled with their identity. You don't know the person that struggled with their sexuality, the person that was kicked out of their home at like the age of 14, the person who was mocked until they were 18 about their accent, the person who was always looked at with really glaring eyes whenever they went to any public outing. You don't know those voices, and you don't listen. And it's time for us, like we've always been here, but now we're getting more and better tools to be like, listen, this is our story, and this is what you don't know.
Well, it's that, and that was very well put, by the way.
Absolutely,
it's that, and the idea that this was once something that we had communities back in the day. We could create these tags that would bring people together and actually create these connections, these communities, allow people to find each other, and then that was taken away, which is the whole reason that we even started campaigning for the tag in the first place. And if you're, you know, some random, and I don't want to like again discriminate, but some random straight cis white guy, you can go into Twitch and look at pretty much 90% of the streams on the platform and see someone you identify with. For someone who is trans or even questioning, you can go to the LGBTQI plus section. Great, that's wonderful. You can see all those different streams. Where do you find that person that relates to you? Where do you find like a place that you feel safe to? Because, you know, there's a lot of places identify, as like lesbian, bi, or queer, that are still very transphobic people. You don't necessarily know what you're going into just to have that overarching tag, and that was one of the issues that we wanted to bring to light for like such a long time. And it's just nice that can now be seen as a thing in the past. Will there be increased discrimination from this? Likely. Will there be increased trolling? Likely. But and it was used as an excuse to prevent it, by the way. That was one of the things, like, they were concerned about increased harassment. But here's the thing. One, there shouldn't be harassment on your site in the first place. People have tools in place to be able to deal with that. And the harassment only stems from a culture that you yourselves allowed to fester, and you essentially created and stood by and did nothing about. I mean, look at major Twitch streams with no moderation in their chats, and the kind of like vile horribleness that just gets spewed into those things. But we can take care of ourselves. We're not children, and it's an optional thing. So if people don't use the tags, great. If people do, we're quids in. We can find each other. We can actually form more meaningful relationships, and just for discoverability's sake, this is such a win. So yeah.
Did I read somewhere that allies are going to be encouraged not to use the LGBTQI plus tag as well?
That is true. Yes, that Twitch did come out and say that they're clarifying that the A in LGBTQIA plus is not necessarily for ally, as they kind of like had mixed messaging on in the past, but it actually, means like either asexual, aromantic, or that particular spectrum that people are on. And they do have an ally tag. I don't know if anybody's going to use an ally tag, because surely, if you're a cool person, you shouldn't need to use that tag anyway. You shouldn't need to tell people that you're an ally. You shouldn't need to tell people that this is, that your stream is safe. Because if you're going to be an asshole,
well, maybe that's maybe that's the other A that should be represented.
Oh my goodness!
Exactly.
Just find them all and then just cancel them all.
And I remember
where's the biggit tag? Because we could probably slap those on a fair few streams. So,
is there a Republican tag?
Isn't that the same? No,
same thing. Literally, that's what I mean. That's exactly what I meant. Catch up with the joke.
Oh, I'm sorry. I see. Anyway, tags.
The political
good news.
satire.
Yay.
Yes, tags. Good news.
Very happy.
Absolutely. What else? So I've got one which makes my little gay heart absolutely sing, which is the Lego Pride set that's coming out next week. It looks adorable. It's absolutely amazing, and it's just. I was going to share a picture, but I think I've broken my computer, so let's not stress that.
No.
But it's gorgeous. Magpies. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's just this beautiful kind of simple. It's the progress flag, basically. So black, brown, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and then the trans flag built onto the end of it as well with the progress flag. So light blue, white, and baby pink. And it's got beautiful kind of like faceless characters. Oh, thank you, Mia. I can throw this up onto the screen now. There we go. So we can see that it's got faceless characters that are meant to be genderless, it's absolutely amazing. The only little hiccup I think that happened is that people have spotted. Just thank you in the chat that it has been tagged as being 18 plus. That. We reached out to Lego, and they quickly explained to us that this is part of their architecture range. The architecture range is all 18 plus. So the Empire State Building one they've got, the Saturn V rocket one they've got loads of sort of ones which are not meant to be toys. They're not meant to be played with. They're meant to sit on a shelf, and they're an adult collection. That being said, that's the logic. It doesn't sound good, does it?
Well, you say that, but like from my research, there are also like architecture sets which are like 12 plus. I literally just looked up the Trafalgar Square sets. I just Googled it, and it literally just says 12 plus.
Yeah, so, the logic doesn't quite hold up. Unfortunately, I fear that what's happening is as regular watchers of the podcast will know I am a big fan of Lego games, and I know the exec producer of one of those games. And he explained to me once that Lego, they're Scandinavian, they're not homophobic in the slightest, they're lovely people, but they have a big family image to try and protect their entire market all around the world. So it's not that they deliberately don't want to do gay stuff, but they steer clear of it to avoid any of these kind of miscommunications or any kind of like dramas that are coming up. I think in this, on the surface, this is a huge step for Lego to do this. It's the first time they've ever done anything blatantly LGBTQ, and it's beautiful. And yes, I'm going to be up at midnight on the 1st of June getting my pre-order in. However, yeah, it's a bit sticky that it's sort of sitting in that 18 plus bracket.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of issues that I'd take with I'd hope with something like that they'd allow you to like customize the minifigs as well, at least give you some different options for like hair and stuff like that. But just rather than just having like if you're in the trans section, for instance, you see the pink minifig has like very long flowing hair, just reinforcing certain stereotypes that aren't necessarily the most positive,
And the black and brown, the black and brown one also has stereotypically sort of black and brown hair as well.
And like if that's like what you want to put on the box in order to like advertise it, but I'd like to see some like different options there in terms of like what you actually get included in the box, even if it bumped up the price a little bit, just for people to like customize it and have it actually represent them. I mean, it's a flag at the end of the day, but if they're going to stick minifigs on it, you may as well just make it customized for the people. But I do think it's a step in the right direction for a company, and it's nice to see things put out there. I'm hoping that it doesn't get to the end of the month and then they take that away, though. I hope it's just there to stay.
I also wish it came out like I love it, but I wish it came out like maybe not during Pride, just so it can be like, hey, we're always thinking about you. Not just during the month that this is the most like profitable.
It is rainbow capitalism, but absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see if they keep selling it beyond June. That would be my big thing. I think that's the big litmus test for me. Like, I of course bring it out in June. We all know that's coming. But I think, if they keep selling it for the remainder of the year and they keep selling it all year round, that'll be the kind of big litmus test for me. And I believe the money's going to charity as well. So
they've like picked a bunch of different charities apparently that they're working with, and the proceeds are going towards
that. So it's good rainbow capitalism rather than bad rainbow capitalism. So we're all good with that.
It's not just lining their pockets.
No, exactly. Yeah, it's actually doing some good. What else? Mia,
we have another story which you coined Demi Lovato, cute enough, which is Demi Lovato has come out as non-binary and is using they them pronouns. Is it just they them pronouns? I think it is.
Yeah,
I think it's
which is absolutely fantastic. It's nice to see just big public figures coming out and just being themselves, but it means a lot for the community as well. It's always great to see. Just like when Elliot Page came out and announced that they identified as they're a trans man, and that was like a massive thing for the trans community that day. Again, just having like visible people who are like going outside the gender norms is I think fantastic in terms of representation.
You're absolutely right. I think it's super important, particularly for the non-binary community. They're a group or an identity or a label that is sort of really misunderstood, I think. And I think that sort of the growth through Drag Race UK with obviously Ginny Lemon and Bimini Bon Boulash identifying as non-binary, there was a lovely sort of exploration kind of moment there, etc. Actually, sorry.
In the cultural zeitgeist, it's generally like quite new. It's only something that people have started to like take notice of for the last I don't know, like 5 or 6 years, maybe. I guess that's when I really started hearing about it. And like for a long time, I had my preconceptions and like misconceptions about it, like for a while, until I actually looked into what it was. And that's like somebody who's in the LGBT community, so it's going to take a long time for people to come around. So this is why like having people at the forefront who are visible and have as much influence as someone like Demi Lovato does is so important. Just like putting that like in people's, well, not necessarily in people's faces, but like presenting them with that information, saying, hey, non-binary people are a thing and they exist.
And it is sparking a lot of conversation, like a lot, especially because they're, again, like you said, they're so in the media. And personally, actually, it was really nice seeing this because I'm actually currently like going through my own gender identity. So seeing someone like Demi speak on it was really empowering, really.
I think it's I mean, I don't know if anyone's caught up with Drag Race Down Under or Down Budget as I call it, but Drag Race Down Under, which
how could you do it to them?
And one of the queens on there, etc. No, it wasn't etc. It was another one. Go on, brain.
Wait, is there actually somebody on Drag Race?
There's a queen on,
etc.?
Yes, there is.
There is. Chat, help me out if someone in there's watched Drag Race Down Under. Anyway,
I've only watched one episode because there's so much Drag Race going on. I had to take a break.
That's a separate conversation. But somebody on there literally in the episode that I watched this morning was talking about their identity as non-binary, and was talking about the sort of like some of the sort of like the learning that the whole community is still going through, and they were making reference in there to sort of experiences that they'd had in the past, with people saying, "Oh, just pick a side, make your mind up," and this sort of thing. And I think the notion that the binary doesn't exist anymore and we are on that kind of floating scale, I think it's really important. I think these conversations are really important. I think Drag Race is a great mouthpiece to get into people's ears, and I think you're right, Glenn, having someone with the iconic kind of status as Demi to sort of start on their journey and make it public, to me that's like a really important thing. So well done them. I'm sorry, them.
And it also well done them. It also brings into like mind like the whole gender being just a social construct, because like when we think about it, one really good example was high heels were made for men initially.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people can't really like grasp that. Like a lot of things that we think are very much like, socially accepted feminine, socially accepted masculine were not the same many centuries ago.
It's all constructed because like 50 years ago, it was like, I think like pink being for girls and blue being for boys, that was actually like backwards as well. And it was actually pink was for boys, and like I think it may have been yellow for girls. I am actually not certain, but the colors were completely swapped around different. That was something that was constructed by like the toy industries to actually sell more toys. It's got nothing to do with your actual gender, which is crazy.
The Great British Sewing Bee that was on last week here in the UK were talking about children's clothing, and they were saying that even up until the 1930s or 40s, kids were put in, regardless of their sex, that they were put in dresses because they're just easier to handle and sort of access and do stuff with. And it was only really a modern-ish invention.
I mean, I wore dresses as a kid, but that's for very different reasons.
And that's kind of like the whole sort of thing about putting kids in trousers and stuff. If they're one sex or the other, then that's a very recent thing. And you're absolutely right, Glenn. Heels were for men.
And even definitely like with different cultures and languages, like everything just swaps around, and it's not consistent.
Absolutely,
exactly. There's no consistency to it. Nothing matters. We should all be allowed to wear what we want.
Tear it apart. Dismantle it.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Now, I just wanted to touch on real quick. I know we spoke about Final Fantasy XIV before, but there are some updates from the FanFest, which are absolutely cute and amazing. There is a new expansion which is coming called Endwalker, which has a lot of Final Fantasy IV stuff in it, which I'm so looking forward to, because Final Fantasy IV is one of my personal favorites. We're going to get to go to the moon, which is great. I think they announced the new class is Reaper, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Yoshi P came out on stage in the full-on Reaper cosplay, which was a sight to see.
Fully sweating, fully uncomfortable, just...
Looked like something out of Bloodborne at the time. I'm like, am I watching the right thing? But like, absolutely fantastic that he pulled that off. Yeah, and there's also male Vieira coming, which is, I think that's something that they said that they wouldn't do.
Yep, they said that when they announced Vieira's and Hrothgar's, the reason why they didn't just like go full Hrothgar or full Vieira was because Vieira is something that the community had been asking for a long time. But also, Final Fantasy XIV did not have a character customization that was more beast-like. Everyone was all humanoid. So they wanted both, but they really couldn't because of just resources and the incredible work that goes to an MMO and getting a new race and getting all the old like gear that was already established to then fit with this new one. So they just decided to keep it with female Vieira, male Hrothgar, and they specifically said they would not do anything more. Well, they heard our feedback, and I believe one of the teams actually, I can't think of the word. They took the initiative and worked on the male Vieiras, and I'm very excited. I don't know if I want to change because I love my Femro. Femros are very rare, but bunny boys are kind of amazing.
I mean, like everybody wants to be a bunny boy now on my timeline. Moonlit says, "Giant muscle women next, please."
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Giant muscle women. Let's go. I will say, Square Enix actually sent me out some salt and pepper shakers.
Oh my
based on Heidelin and I believe it's Zodiac. I haven't gotten that far in the story yet. I need to get back in. I need to catch up because obviously I've got some story issues that I need to get past through. But like that post Heaven's Ward content is just it's such a slog, and I kind of hate it. I'm not gonna lie. But I'm gonna try and catch up because I want to get into all the Final Fantasy IV inspired goodness. Even like the music, the bosses that are there. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Mia, what data center are you in? I'm just curious.
I am on Aether.
I am also an Aether. So if you need any help,
I will definitely take that offer. I'm not sure when I'm jumping back in, but I definitely want to do so before November because it's coming out November 23rd.
23rd, yeah. So you have time. You have full...
I've got more than enough time. Once, they're bringing out world visits as well.
That's
Once
right.
World Visit opens up, you're going to take me to all the neat LGBT nightclubs where the cool kids hang out in Final Fantasy XIV. I didn't even know that was a thing. That sounds amazing.
Final Fantasy XIV has such an amazing community of like people that work with the housing. And yes, in one of the data centers, I think it's mostly Primal that I've seen, like they have full-on websites that looks like an actual like club poster. They have a whole menu, and people will line up whenever it opens, and it is a very long line. And when you go in there, it's legit a nightclub. It is amazing.
Oh my goodness. I want to go to my gay nightclubs in Final Fantasy XIV. That sounds like a fantastic time. Hell yes. Speaking of fantastic LGBTQI plus times, I believe you've got something to talk about on that front.
I do. I'm going to whip through it really quickly. But people might remember on Gayming Magazine last year, we'd had our DigiPride, which was our first ever online Pride event. It is back. From June the 1st. So we have DigiPride 2021. There'll be a big announcement coming out on Gayming on Wednesday, but I can give you a couple of little sort of peeks behind the curtain, which include 3 months worth of activities featuring, I'm stumbling because I'm bloody internet. There we go. So headline moments throughout the 3 months. Include Bitch Puddings doing a digital drag show. She's bringing back her digital drag show that's been keeping us all sane throughout this entire pandemic. And there is going to be a very special gaming themed digital drag show coming. We're going to pepper the 3 months with panels, live panels here on Twitch on the Gayming Mag Twitch channel. The first of which is on June the 9th, which is Queer Voices in Games panel.
I'm looking forward to that one. I want to hear all the queer voice actors talking about their experiences.
Exactly. We have Tommy Earl Jenkins from Death Stranding, August Aidan Black from Tell Me Why, Valerie Lohman from Wolfenstein, Sarah Almela from Gone Home and Gears 5, and CJ from Borderlands 3. That's fantastic. We've got another talk coming up in July, which is a queer history of video games talk. with a queer historian. That's going to be fantastic. We have the Stream Queens at the end of July 28th. So we have a panel of 5 of the Stream Queens are coming together. That's Dia, London Bradshaw, Twilight King, Eve L. Queen, and Marisol Lords are all coming together to talk about the impact of drag on the streaming world. And then further into August, we've got a couple of more panels that are sort of still being sketched out. One about queer games makers and one about queer comics. And that is literally just the panels. Everything else we've got as well. We are sponsoring New York City gamers doing their Pride School Festival, which is a 3-day event on their Discord, which is now the full name. Now, the anime geeks will probably get this, is Pride School Festival Return to Hokori High Turbo Edition. It's a 3-day event. It takes place on Discord, and it's based around the idea of school festivals in animes, those sort of filler episodes where people sort of run around and do fun things. So we're supporting that. That is on June 18th through to June 20th. Go and check out Gayming Magazine for more information on that. The Gayming Podcast Live. We are here every 2 weeks throughout DigiPride. We're going to be joined not only by some fantastic stream guests as normal, but we're also being joined by other guests for teensy little interviews at the top of each episode from a fabulous set of sponsors that I can't talk about just yet. And there's competitions for those sponsors as well. So each sponsor's giving us a mega bundle of prizes. And when I say mega, I'm talking mega bundle. Because I've been
letting on a little bit of this information. I'm not going to say anything, but it's well worth coming back for.
Yeah. So yeah, enter that when you get a chance, because I'm not saying their money can't buy, but you need a lot of money to buy some of the prizes that we've got coming up. What else? Game Podcast Live. Oh, streaming. So we're working with the fantastic Rainbow Arcade, and they're going to be streaming every week. Every weekend, they're going to be doing special DigiPride streams, and we're also going to have our own Let's Play streams that we're going to work with our partner streamers to deliver. Again, working with our sponsors, they're going to be extended plays of key games from the sponsors, which might actually include some special previews and some special surprises along the way, and maybe even some more giveaways as part of those streams as well.
Hell yeah. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to being
involved. That's a lot, and I'm excited.
I haven't actually even scratched the surface. So obviously there's always going to be sort of daily content on gaming. There's always going to be daily content pumping out across all of our social media. So please follow that, gaymag.com. And we're Gayming Mag on every piece of social media. We're here, Mia and I, every 2 weeks. Well, I'm not actually, am I? I'm missing one of them. You're here on your own.
A very special episode one of the weeks, which I have ordained the car crash episode, and it's going to be something. Let me tell you, I don't have a plan yet, but we'll see what happens when Robin's away. Mia will.
Robin's away, and Mia will play. And so that's kind of the hints of what's coming. Like I say, keep an eye out on Wednesday for a bigger announcement. And also we've still got we even have more stuff I can't talk about, including an exceptionally special thing that's going to take place in August that I really can't talk about, but I really want to talk about, but I can't talk about it. So I'm going to have to stop talking. Otherwise, I'll probably blurt it out and knacker up a sponsorship deal.
Someone put a counter how many times Robin says they can't talk about it.
Yeah.
Can't talk about it. Okay, since you can't talk about any more than that, can you at least tell us when that's all kicking off on June 1st?
So June 1st, right? Yep. So
Mm-hmm.
next Tuesday. God, that's going
week
to
on
start.
Tuesday.
A week on Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Week on Tuesday. I'm a week ahead of myself. I nearly had a heart attack. So week on Tuesday, June 1st. But this Wednesday coming, there will be a more official announcement and a reveal.
Mm-hmm.
Of our fabulous 6 sponsors, he said, holding up 5 fingers. 6 sponsors.
And I'm sure all of that information and more will be available at
gaymingmag.com.
Yes, it will.
And there'll be a special
gaymingmag.com.
There'll even be a special microsite launching for DigiPride as well on Wednesday, hopefully. He says with a little hint in his voice.
The hopefully is emphasized there quite a lot. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Yes,
we're all good. I'm super excited. It's gonna be absolutely fantastic. Anyway,
I'm sure it will be.
Let's move from the DigiPride spotlight to a spotlight on Glenn, our fabulous guest for this episode. It's time to get to know you a bit more with some probing questions.
Yes. Probing questions.
I'm ready.
I hope you're ready for them.
You're ready to be probed.
I wasn't going to say it, but thank you for saying that. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. We'll start this off like pretty easy. When did you get started with streaming, just in general?
So I started streaming around February of 2019. And I remember the first time I was like, you know what, I'm going to try this. I was watching the wonderful Angel XOXO. She just had a wonderful vibe of being down to earth, but also definitely believing that she's a celebrity, which is how I like to think of myself as well. So I just thought, you know what, I like how she just interacts with people. I'm gonna try it myself, and I haven't stopped ever since. It's been so much fun.
Is that like a key interaction with your communities? Does that feel that what attracts people to your content? What would you say that brings people in and keeps them?
I think, and I've been very grateful that people say that they love the energy that I bring. When I start talking, I'm in front of a camera, I don't stop. And that can either be really funny or really annoying. Luckily, it's been mostly the funny part. But even if I'm having like the worst horrible day, I sit down here, the lights are on, and I just like the energy just like explodes out of me, and people have been able to like bounce off of that. And it's become like a really fun like interaction with people in chat and me.
I was going to say, because you are really well known for your high energy. I mean, this has been an amazing experience, sort of sitting here watching you talk properly in a kind of like low energy, chilled kind of way. But I've obviously watched a lot of your streams, and it's like it genuinely sort of gets sort of like real telenovela at points, and it's my absolute genuine delight to sort of watch that. It's really, really cool, and it's a thing I kind of really vibe with, because I get the entertainment side of Twitch. I really do. I enjoy sort of people that have sort of soft and gentle conversations, but I think it is, I really pick up from you that it's kind of like it is a lights, camera, action, off we go kind of thing.
Thank you.
What types of games, we've mentioned a few already, but what types of games do you actually play on stream?
So recently I've been focusing mostly on MMOs. The funny thing is that when I first started streaming, I thought, who's going to watch me play an MMO? Who's going to watch me go and do a quest where I have to pick up like 13 pumpkins and attack 17 like fish? But people enjoy it. And what I like about it is that when I stream, no matter what game it is, it's still just chatting. Like it's like Final Fantasy XIV / just chatting. Elder Scrolls Online / just chatting. And it's a running gag with my community where we get to see how many quests will Glenn get done in this stream. The record is 3 in like 3 hours. So, but I used to play a lot of Overwatch. I actually used to play a lot of like first-person shooter kind of competitive games. But after a while, it really just like was not fun for me, because I felt like I still have the entertainment aspect, but I would get very frustrated if, like, let's say I was on a losing streak.
It's very easy to get salty in those games, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I feel you there. I did the exact same thing. Like, I played Overwatch for a while. And it's just like, I'm getting too angry doing this. I'm getting way too angry. I've got to take a break. Plus, I don't think they're necessarily the best for chat interaction either. Like, when you got a nice chilled out time, like your MMOs, for instance, that's so much better. Yeah, apparently Moonlit likes watching me play Final Fantasy XIV to see my reaction stuff, but she doesn't like reading the story. Wow, okay. I mean... It was very tiring. I voice act all the characters, so yeah.
That is tiring, though, to be honest.
That's extremely tiring. Anyway, enough about me, because this isn't about me. This is about you. Obviously, big proponent of LGBTQIA plus culture, and just being part of the community, and just being out there and proud, and just being visible. A visible LGBTQIA plus identity, which is absolutely fantastic. If there was any people within the community, LGBTQIA plus, who were thinking about getting to streaming, doing anything like that, what kind of advice would you give them? What would you say to them?
I would say my first thing that I just say to people is don't take yourself seriously. The worst thing is to get into something that takes a lot of work and you're already putting expectations on yourself because you're going to mess up. It's very inevitable. Like it's a lot of times when you go onto YouTube or like these sites and you look up how to start streaming, you'll get lists of these are the overlays you need. These are the sound commands you need. This is how you need to interact. This is how you need to do this, that. Honestly, all you need, if you're going to use a webcam, is a webcam, your game, and just like, what do you want? It's very much do you want to play shooters? Do you want to play stuff like, relaxed cozy games like Animal Crossing, Stardew Valley? Do that, and then to start growing, I would say the best is to go to other people in that same category that you're in and start interacting, start being a viewer in their channel, become active, make it so they know your name, and then in time you can then introduce that you are also streaming. Don't do it in the chat. Do not do it. Don't say, oh yeah. Especially do not do it casually, like, oh, I think I have to head out, I'm actually gonna get ready for stream. Please don't do that. Do not do that.
That's very frowned upon.
But in time, it's all about having fun, knowing what you want, and then you learn from there. You don't need to know everything when you start.
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely follow up with that and just generally find out what you want going into it, and just if you want to have fun. Yeah, it's very good advice, I'd say.
Certainly don't set out to be a star and make a ton of cash.
That's probably the worst thing that you can do.
People go into that the wrong way.
You see those type of people who come in and they're like, oh yeah, I want to get be big and famous and stuff. It's like, you're gonna get such a surprise. Like that's the thing that I hate the most, like entitled people coming in and it's like, where are my views? And
especially with a lot of us, like on Twitch, most of the revenue and like a lot of the stuff kind of comes outside of Twitch, which is why it's so important to network has both a positive and negative connotation, but like you can still network and be friendly and like be actively in a community, but like that networking is very important because then you get to have stuff outside of Twitch.
Definitely.
Alongside your own stream, we mentioned earlier that you're a member of the Rainbow Arcade, but you're their in-house video editor. Have I got that right? Yeah. Go on.
Yes, I was gonna say one of the video editors.
Yes. Okay. How long have you been with the Rainbow Arcade?
So I was with Rainbow Arcades ever since its inception.
Oh, wow.
I think it started. I'm getting dates wrong, but I think it started like about 2 years ago. Around January is when we started talking about it. And again, it was like a very casual thing. We got people that that we knew from the community together. We did not expect it to blow up the way it did. And
because you're like 88 members now, 85 members.
Oh my god,
you're 80 a lot. Okay, sorry, it's not factual. 80 odd. I know it's 80
sounds
odd.
I mean, wow, that sounds right. Not odd. That sounds right. But yeah, I've been helping out with a lot of the videos when it comes to the Heritage Month, and those have been amazing because again. Sometimes I don't get to interact with everybody in the team, especially because it's been getting bigger and bigger. But when it comes to them, sharing themselves in these videos and then me piecing it all together to get a message out, it's been like one of the most rewarding things I've done. I've really enjoyed it.
I know that.
Sorry, go ahead.
I know that this wasn't one of your videos because we covered this in a previous interview we did. But I think one of the videos that made me ugly cry that you guys have put together was actually the video of welcoming all the new members. That was when you went and raided each of the sort of channels to say you got you made the team and stuff. Like there was a lot of happiness there, but I think a lot of people there were some real tears, and there was it was a phrase that will stick with me. It was someone that said that your team has done a lot for me, and now I can't wait to do a lot for other people. Like that phrase is sort of just really, really emotional. And I was like, I think I watched it at 10 a.m. and I was like ugly crying at my desk.
It was great. So I like I said, or like you said, I didn't work on that video, but I was definitely there for almost all the raids. And when I tell you our Discord channel was just blowing up, saying, is it time? Like we would set up a time. Or let's say we said, oh wait, this person's live now. Should we go and raid them now? And just seeing like the mess. It was great. It was wonderful.
Oh.
And there were many times where people almost ruined the surprise because they would type their message out on their chat and then almost accidentally hit the enter button. It was a lot of great fun.
Oh my god, that sounds fun. I've seen your skits that you do yourself. Speaking of video editing, all your like Final Fantasy 14 skits on that you've put out on Twitter. Very, very funny, and definitely like some of the cutest stuff that I've seen in terms of like interacting with that particular community. When it comes to video editing stuff, is it something that you do just because you're passionate about it, or is it something that you're trying to make a career out of, that you would like to make into a career? What's your approach on that?
So it started with the passion. It started with just having fun. Funny enough, the videos on Twitter started because I remember when I would meet newer streamers, and I would always want to go to the Twitter, because Twitter is one of the bigger websites that streamers use for any type of like, you know, interaction. And I would see some people only have I'm going live. And that was their entire timeline. So I thought, oh, let me try something. Let me do like these little small funny videos before I go live. And it was a lot of work, but I would wake up like at 10 a.m. I was working part-time at this time. Now I'm unemployed, but I had time, and I would get an idea while I was literally washing the dishes or in the shower, and then quickly get my phone out, do a quick little video, and it just like upscaled from there to the point where I now feel more confident how I edit, and I actually would like to make into a career. I just don't know. I'm not sure what steps to go right now. And the worst part is I discovered I have ADHD back in October during ADHD Awareness Month, and I've taken some commissions, and I need to be very specific in how I work with scheduling, because it's been to the point where the ADHD will bite me in the butt, and I will work on the video hours before.
I suffer with like similar stuff myself. I'm actually pursuing an ADHD diagnosis at the moment. The two things that I find super helpful for like organization stuff that I found super helpful recently, that I've only started doing like in the last 6 months or so, the Team Up app is great. So basically that's like an online website and app, and it's just a calendar, but it's a calendar that you can share between yourself and people that you give a link to, so you can literally allow other people to see when you're available. And just Trello too, just like Trello for different like boards to like organize yourself. Like I have a to-do list Trello. I have a Trello for the community that I convinced Robin to set up a Trello for the podcast. You know, just makes everything so much easier on that end. Like again, it's difficult though when you do have ADHD. Like it's a struggle that like a lot of people don't think about, especially when it's unmedicated as well. It's it's hard to get things done. And I imagine that you've dealt with that a lot.
It's funny because once because I didn't really know much about ADHD until October. It was actually right after my front page slot. I was on a really big high, and then I saw this post from Denny Donovan, who is an amazing comic book artist that does a lot of ADHD stuff. And I looked at this and I thought, wait a minute, you're telling me that other people don't feel this way? And then I kept scrolling and it was wild. But I think one thing that's really helped me out is I do set up like tentative deadlines to give me like an extension. That's really helped me a lot. I will like I had like a similar thing as well, where in the beginning like I just thought that maybe I was just lazy because I could never concentrate and get things done, and I'd beat myself up for it like all the time. It's like, oh, you're a terrible person, you're just like the lazy person. And then once these things just started clicking into place, it was kind of like freeing almost. It's like, okay, this is something that is a very real thing, and it could be managed. And like I'm still pursuing, you know, diagnosis and things. And the whole system over here is terrible. But I don't know. I wish you the best of luck, because I felt the same exact way. Like one of the worst part was like applying for jobs. I felt comfortable being in the interview room, but writing the cover letter was the worst. Even now, like basically anything written wise, it's awful. I even told Robin, I apologize when Robin gave me the prompt for the interview. I sat down, I got scared, and I ran away. And then it said, "I'm so sorry. I'm working on it right now."
Like I like just leaving things till the last minute, or you know, just procrastination central in general. Yeah,
and it's a real learning point for me actually, as sort of someone from looking from the outside in. Actually, that it is it's more common than you think. It really is, and that there are a lot of people that I sort of peek behind the curtain. So we, because of the time zones involved, obviously running Gayming being an international magazine, the majority of our interviews we tend to do written because it's easy to sort of like throw. Well, okay, I think it's easy to throw a load of questions into a Google Doc, send it around, have people reply to it, and then we'll cut it up and rewrite it into an interview that sounds like we had a spoken interview. But as a learning point for me, that I've sort of have started to try and adopt a way of like, are you comfortable doing this? If not, we can definitely organize something verbal. It's something that really has sort of come across my desk a couple of times. You would be genuinely surprised. Actually, I'm not sure that you would be, because if you know it, I guess it is more common than you think. But it's a lot of people sort of they do sort of kick back a little bit when it comes to like written. Oh my god, written. And I yeah, that's something that I've sort of taken on board with our development.
And I appreciate that. Like, it's also a lot of things I'm still learning, because again, I learned about this recently, and we're just now to the point where we're understanding how like things in like a neurotypical like society doesn't work for a lot of people like us. Yeah. Especially growing up, we thought everyone else is doing it. Why can't I? So then that's when it's harder to like pinpoint like, oh, this doesn't work for me, that works for me. It's all a learning process.
Absolutely. And I think more the more neurodiverse I think society is, that I think the more wholesome we will become. I think people can add things in different ways that other people that aren't sort of have those sort of conditions would never think about. So yeah. We talked a little bit obviously around you said about the tips for new streamers, and you said about finding communities. Tell me about the value of a team and the value that the Rainbow Arcade brings its members, and the value that you find particularly as being part of a team.
So what I love about being in a team in Rainbow Arcade is, like we talked about, now that the tags will be a great place for us to find people like us, Rainbow Arcade was like that for me. I met so many people that were similar to me, so many people that were also very different from me. Mia had mentioned how she didn't really know much about like non-binary and that entire community. I also wasn't that aware. And again, as someone who's like very proudly LGBTQIA+, learning from my team members who are non-binary, and again, they didn't have to sit me down and teach me things. I just had to see who they were, how they lived life, and I was like, oh my god, this all makes sense. So again, like the great thing about team is like you find people who are like you, but also people who aren't like you, and you learn how they live or how they work, and there's just like it's just amazing. I can't speak more about being on part of a team that is also like very actively with each other, I guess is a way to say it.
That's a really nice message to take away from that. It's extremely like just you've got like people there that are like you and not like you. That's so nice. I never actually thought about being on a team like that, because you can learn so much from other people. Yikes. I will say one thing that I want to touch on before we finish the interview is obviously the pandemic has had such a massive effect on everybody. I imagine yourself as well. I'm assuming that when you spoke about jobs earlier, that might have had something to do with that, or I don't want to assume anything.
So I actually left my job right before the pandemic.
Oh, that's okay. That's great.
So yes. I took a chance, and
that was like the perfect timing then. Yeah, perfect timing. The reason that I bring up the whole pandemic thing is obviously there are things that we can't necessarily do right now, like get out there, go to like conventions or TwitchCon or anything like that. Once this whole thing is blown over, is there anything that you'd want to do either for streaming online or offline IRL that you just can't at the moment?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I don't know how to answer that right now, because when I in my place, at least now, as streaming, I'm not in a financial I wasn't, and I'm still not in a place where I can freely travel and do a lot of things that I couldn't do nowadays. But I definitely would love to, now that I've upgraded a little bit of my equipment for video. I can't wait to take stuff like outside.
Yeah. Yeah, just as like do real world trips. I've seen people like with the backpacks and things going around, actually just doing the streams out there, going and like reviewing restaurants and stuff like that.
Yes, I would love that.
Really cute. That sounds amazing. I'd love to see that in your future, like just getting out there and like interacting with people. God, eventually.
What an amazingly alien concept.
Interacting with people.
Yeah,
it
feels real life.
It's more likely than you think. It feels like it's been so long that a lot of things that were normal 2 years ago just doesn't, like, what do you mean be in a restaurant with all these people?
I was in London last week, and I was in 2 bars, sat drinking a cocktail in a bar, and that just felt weird. And
I went to a restaurant today, and I had the exact same thing.
Yeah,
like it just felt so odd.
But have you found that bit yet? When up until recently, obviously, our sort of friendships have either been text-based or Discord-based or video call-based or whatever else, and you're having to kind of almost relearn being social in real life. You're having to kind of remember to present yourself in real life. Like, I really sat there and I was like, I can't remember how I do this. I can't remember how I actually interact with someone in real life. Like, I can't just go, I'm bored now, and just close the screen down.
Go to the next tab.
Yeah, exactly. Skip over, swipe left.
Mine was family members, so I treat them the same way. I always would.
Bored now.
Yeah. I mean, I did have to be told to like put my phone away several times. Though,
me too. I'm literally, because I've lived like the last however long, sort of like just doom scrolling, and you sort of I found myself like sat there having a conversation, and I'm just sort of doing that sort of thing. It's like, Jesus, stop.
I will say though, like once this is all over, hopefully like the cons will come back, TwitchCon will come back. You can do like a fundraiser with your community and get yourself to TwitchCon. There should be like, I'm assuming there'd be some kind of like Rainbow Arcade hangout or something.
We would love to make one. We would love to make one.
All get together and have a drink. You know, like a socially distanced, safe drink. Hope.
I just really miss hugs.
Me too.
I really miss hugs.
We're now allowed. The government came out in the UK the other day and actually said that there are government-approved hugs now you can do. I mean, there was a weird moment when they were trying to explain how to do a COVID-safe hug, and it's just like, yeah, okay.
What is a COVID-safe hug when it's at home?
You turn your head away from the other person, so you go in like this and you hug. Obviously, the non-COVID. Isn't
that just like how you? Isn't that how you hug like a grandparent that you hate?
Yeah,
or something, like
the bare minimum. It's just like hello.
Or instead of not hating them, they're just like a little weak, and you don't want to like squish their like fragile bones.
Or like a fan comes up to you with a really bad breath, and you're just like.
That sounds so dystopian. Can you imagine like years ago and saying the government has told you how to hug?
Yeah. It's all very weird. And I think, but I do hope, as a sort of slight sidebar talking about conventions, I do hope that this experience has taught us about a bit more sort of personal hygiene and hand washing and that sort of thing. Because it used to be the sort of like the hilarious joke that you'd go home from conventions. Oh, I've got con flu. That's not funny.
No,
you've been exposing yourself to loads of thousands of people with diseases and stuff on them, and you haven't been washing your hands and stuff. Like, you shouldn't find that funny anymore. You shouldn't have found it funny.
I will say, like, Smash Brothers tournaments are never going to be the same ever again. So, anyway, sorry. Moving on. We're going to finish off with quick fire questions, which is basically what this is. We're just going to ask you a bunch of questions. Just say the first thing that comes to mind. With the ADHD thing, it might not be the right answer, but it's absolutely fantastic. Exactly. Right. But, don't panic. You can think about it a little bit, but just like, just give us an answer, basically.
I'm ready.
It's like, we're just going to grill you. You can give us an answer. All right. So, 3, 2, 1. What's been your favorite game this year?
Final Fantasy XIV.
What was the most memorable game from your childhood?
Oh, Pokemon Channel.
Oh, I love Pokemon Channel.
It's so good.
That's how I got Jirachi. Who's your favorite video game character?
Oh, frick. Oh, wow. Okay, let's just say Reen from 14.
Okay.
What game do you most want a sequel to?
I almost said fish again. Let's see. Oh, frick. I would like to see... Ooh, StarCraft 3.
Nice. Yes.
Who would be your dream stream guest? Could be anybody. Could be a celebrity. Could be like someone on Twitch or...
I would... Okay. Let's see. Who comes to mind first? Oh, I would love to have a guest, Carolina Rabasa. She's the voice of Sombra from Overwatch.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice. What game are you most looking forward to coming out?
I want to say Endwalker, but wait, no. Oh, no. I am looking forward to PSO 2 New Genesis. I tried that out. Ooh. That was a lot of fun.
Cool. If you were marooned on an island, what 3 games would you like to have with you? Could be any 3 games. They work.
It's a really high-tech island.
Okay, so I would like Elder Scrolls Online, 14, and Overwatch.
Which game has the best soundtrack?
I'm going to say Final Fantasy VI.
Very nice. And last question. Feel free to take as long on this as you would like.
A cumulus cloud.
Where can people find your content, and what have you got coming up on your channel?
So you can find me on YouTube and on Twitch at Glenn Ángel. It's spelled Angel, but I prefer the pronunciation Spanish, Glenn Ángel. And you can find me on TikTok and Twitter at Hello Glenn Ángel. You will mostly find some fun little video game sketch comedy stuff. I've taken a bit of a break because my recording device, aka my iPhone 6 I've had for 6 years, is now dead. But I just got a new phone and the videos will be coming out very soon. You can always find me on Twitch. The days vary, but mostly Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. That is 2 p.m. Pacific, and that is 10 p.m. British Summer Time. And I play a lot of MMOs and literally whatever else I want, but it's usually chaotic chatting.
Yay!
Nice. Glenn, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the Gayming Podcast. It's
so nice to have a lovely chat with you, Glenn.
Yes, I had so much fun. Thank you for having me.
Good. I'm glad that you did. And went well as far as I can tell. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Gayming Podcast Live. Again, we will be back in 2 weeks' time with our first Gayming Podcast Live DigiPride special edition with our guest 8-Bit Dylan. So be excited for that.
Be very excited. If you want to listen to any of these episodes, the Gayming Podcast Live is available on all good podcast platforms and wherever good podcasts are sold.
Exactamundo. And if you're listening to this right now, if you're listening to this on those services and you want to watch it live, you can go over to twitch.tv/gamingmag and hit that follow button to make sure that you're caught up to date and you'll be able to see us when we go live next time. But in the meantime, don't forget to keep reading Gayming Magazine and go visit the Discord over at gaymingmag.com/Discord. Go do all the things.
Do all the things. Have a fantastic couple of weeks. Keep your eye out on Wednesday on Gayming Magazine and across our socials for the big reveal about DigiPride. And we'll see you in 2 weeks for our very first DigiPride special. Thank you, everyone. See you soon.
Bye for now.
Goodbye.
Bye.